Hello and welcome to this edition of Wineskins. I'm Father Jim Corda. Wineskins is a program that features reflections on the lives of the saints and the sacred scriptures, along with a variety of issues and topics, all from a Catholic perspective. Wineskins is brought to you through the annual Bishop's Appeal, the Catholic Communication Campaign, and St. Paul's Catholic Books and Gifts, a division of the Society of St. Paul. On our program today, I will interview Father Joe Whitmer in part 3 of our 3-part series called Spotlight. We will also hear more information on the life and times of St. Rose of Lima. And today, as the Church celebrates a 20th Sunday in Ordinary Time, we will get a deeper insight into those particular Sunday readings. That and more on Wineskins. Catholic Charities is an important part of the life of the Church and her members. To share with us an important issue is Rachel Herbelich.
Jeanette and Brian are raising 5 children and are often burdened with unexpected financial setbacks that keep them hovering at the poverty line. Although Brian is employed full-time in a job he has held for several years, the family lives paycheck to paycheck and depends on frugal spending practices just to come close to meeting their monthly expenses. Jeanette is a stay-at-home mom, currently raising 4 school-age children and a 1.5-year-old toddler who, in his first year of life, has required many medical interventions to correct a club foot condition. Frequent trips to the orthopedic pediatrician have come with a new set of financial challenges. However, it has been very rewarding for Jeanette to learn from the doctor that because of her diligence in keeping her child's appointments and using leg braces faithfully each night, her son's condition is unlikely to be a limiting or debilitating problem in his lifetime. Through a pilot program called Project Assisi, Catholic Charities has assisted Jeanette and Brian's family with badly needed car repairs to allow Brian to continue to get to his job in a neighboring city. The Project Assisi caseworker has also encouraged the family to follow up on a home ownership program that could lead to a long-term, stable housing situation. Jeanette and Brian have been very compliant and involved in their case plan and are looking forward to a time when they can open a savings account to cover their unexpected financial emergencies, something that they learned during their financial literacy education sessions, which are part of the Project Assisi program. The couple has expressed their appreciation for Project Assisi, which has not only helped them financially, but also inspired them to set goals and think more seriously about their future plans as a family. What is Project Assisi? Project Assisi is a pilot program developed by Catholic Charities of the Diocese of Youngstown to help us determine whether providing supportive services in the form of regular case management, in addition to financial assistance, makes a difference in helping people out of poverty. In other words, does the relationship between the caseworker and the client make a difference in helping the client to see his or her potential and begin to develop goals for a better life? Assisi is an acronym for Assisting, Strengthening, and Supporting Individuals' Self-Sufficiency and Independence. It was implemented in September of 2015 and has since helped nearly 100 households through a crisis and onto the path to financial self-reliance. Most of the clients who qualify for Project Assisi enter the program with a need that jeopardizes their housing situation, most often the threat of eviction or foreclosure. Others are facing food insecurity, utilities at risk for disconnection, lack of reliable transportation, and various other crises that hinder their ability to work or meet their family's basic needs. To qualify for participation in Project Assisi, clients must not only express a desire to improve their current circumstances, but also have some form of income which puts them at or below 200% of poverty. Potential candidates for the program must also answer a series of questions on a number of topics, including employment, life skills, substance abuse, family relations, parenting skills, and community involvement. If a client qualifies for Project Assisi, he or she must enter into agreement with their Catholic Charities caseworker. The client agrees to keep scheduled appointments, follow up on the referral sources provided by the caseworker, and work toward achieving the goals identified in his or her case plan. In turn, The caseworker agrees to utilize all means at his or her disposal to help the client, from financial resources to moral support, all for the purpose of helping the client move toward self-sufficiency and achieve his or her goals. Project Assisi represents the type of initiatives that have proven effective in helping people out of poverty. The latest research from the American Enterprise Institute and the Brookings Institution has shown that successful poverty reduction programs are those that work with marginal people who would succeed with a little help but wouldn't without. This is why one of the qualifications to participate in Project Assisi is a regular source of income, even if it only serves to keep clients from falling below that 200% of poverty line. The research also finds that one-on-one case management is the best way to self-sufficiency. This is something Catholic Charities has understood for a long time. It is why we have incorporated case management into many of our direct assistance programs. In order to truly reduce poverty, we must uncover its root causes and address them one by one. Case management provides the vehicle for this process. For example, if someone comes to Catholic Charities hungry and in need of food, we can provide a box of groceries and send them on their way. While this transaction satisfies their immediate need, it does nothing to help the client become completely food secure, so that he or she no longer needs help the next time hunger strikes. A case management approach would not only provide the box of groceries, but also provide the opportunity for the client and the caseworker to explore the client's present circumstances and develop solutions for the various problems that are keeping the client in a state of dependency. The downside of case management is that it is costly to provide. Available funding to administer direct assistance dollars and track the impact of those dollars on the client's situation is limited. Additionally, the amount of time that is involved in effective case management means that fewer people are likely to be served. In order to ensure the best use of the funds, Catholic Charities is continually challenged to use the resources entrusted to us for maximum effectiveness. Should we restore service to 50 households who have just had their water shut off and solve the crisis of the moment? Or should we involve 5 of those households who are consistently at risk for utility disconnection and a host of other issues as a result of living in poverty? Further, can we engage those 5 households in a process that will ultimately lead to the creation of goals and a plan for complete financial self-sufficiency? Is there a way to meet both the need for immediate service right now and offer something more to those desperate to end the cycle of poverty in their own lives? Questions like these are what prompted the development of Project Assisi. We cannot abandon our role of being the organization that is right here, right now, when the need is immediate. However, we must also recognize that to end poverty, Catholic Charities must offer something more that leads to lasting, sustainable change. Project Assisi is that something more, providing a doorway for those with the motivation and means to take control of their lives. For more information about Project Assisi, or any of Catholic Charities' programs serving the Diocese of Youngstown, visit our website, www.ccdoy.org. That's www.ccdoy.org. For Wineskins, I'm Rachel Herbelich.
Saint Rose of Lima was a virgin. To tell us more is Bobby Bankovich. She is from St. Paul Church in North Canton.
The first canonized saint of the New World died in Lima, Peru on August 24, 1617. She was canonized by Pope Clement X in 1671 and proclaimed patroness of the Americas, the Philippines, and the West Indies. Her feast is celebrated on this date because August 24th is the feast of the Apostle Bartholomew. Born of humble Spanish parents, she was baptized as Isabel Flores y de Oliva. But because of her radiant beauty as an infant, she was given the name of Rose. She received the sacrament of confirmation from Saint Turribius, Archbishop of Lima. 3 other contemporaries of Rose are also saints: the Dominican Saint Martin de Porres and Saint John Macias, and the Franciscan Saint Francis Solano. Rose refused to marry but became a Dominican tertiary. and as was the custom at that time, she wore the Dominican habit. In 1623, she was instrumental in making the foundation of the first monastery of cloistered nuns in Lima, dedicated to St. Catherine of Siena. With the help of her brother Ferdinand, she built a small hermitage in the family garden, and there she spent most of her life. It was a life dedicated to penances that were so severe that they are incomprehensible to us today. Her mystical experiences and charismatic gifts were similar to those of another Dominican tertiary, St. Catherine of Siena. But she also had to endure violent diabolical attacks and temptations. She experienced what is called the mystical espousal, at which time Jesus said to her, "Rose of my heart, be my spouse." When she died in 1671 at the age of 31, the entire city venerated her as a saint. The opening prayer of the Mass gives us in one sentence the spirituality of this patroness of the Americas. God our Father, for love of you, St. Rose gave up everything to devote herself to a life of penance. She had made a vow of virginity early in life so that she could devote herself to prayer and penance. At the same time, however, she performed works of charity for the sick and the poor. Our petition in the opening prayer is that we may imitate her selfless way of life. So selfless was her love that she desired ardently to evangelize the Indians, some of whom were very savage. She serves well as a patroness of the Americas, giving an example of love for all the races. She likewise reminds us, as we see in the Office of Readings, "Let all men know that grace comes after tribulation. Let them know that without the burden of afflictions, it is impossible to reach the height of grace. This is the only true stairway to paradise, and without the cross, they can find no road to climb to heaven." For Wineskins, I am Bobby Bankovich.
Welcome back to our show. I'm talking with Father Joe Whitmer about ecumenism. The last couple segments we talked about what's kind of going on nationally and globally. Let's try to localize it and share with the folks that are with us what's happening here locally.
Catholics have been very much a part of the Mahoning Valley Association of Churches. The last two presidents were Catholics. Currently, the secretary and the treasurer are both Catholics. So we certainly are involved in this body. What's exciting is this body and its predecessors are celebrating its 100th anniversary. It started as a sort of an outgrowth of a Billy Sunday, I don't guess we call it a retreat, but an evangelical event down on Federal Street. And then in 1916, they started this cooperative organization. Obviously, Catholics weren't part of it then, but things have grown over the years, and that's a good expression of that. We've been blessed to have the Ohio Cultural Alliance, which is here in Youngstown, sort of help us celebrate this 100th anniversary. And a number of different programs. They meet the second Monday of the month and have taken the highlights of different churches and other religions in our community. The first was Hinduism. The second was Judaism. We were at Temple El Emeth, and its pastor and Father George Belasco, well known for his work with Jewish-Catholic relations, responders and presenters at that event. And then there will be, later on in the series, an event in which Islam is presented. So it's an interesting and exciting kind of thing. About 225 people come to each of these events.
That's wonderful. What is, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, what is the state of the union of ecumenical dialogue in our country? We know that it's important for us as Roman Catholics to dialogue with people of faith. How has it been going around the country in this ecumenical spirit or interfaith spirit of dialogue? Has it been happening? Has it been working? And what have been some of the fruits of the labor of those people?
Well, I would say, again, it varies from place to place, depending on personalities, dynamics, religious flavor, and history of each state or each local area. Mm-hmm. Each one has its own history, which makes it exciting or challenging. Mm-hmm. Ours has been a little bit of both, trying to do that. But as you mentioned, we've had good leadership from our bishops, and that has certainly helped Catholics feel good about this relationship, not only with other Christians, but with other religious groups. Of course, we were all excited back in those days when Bishop Malone was invited to give the sermon at the funeral service of the prominent rabbi in Youngstown.
Yes, a happy memory. How important is it for us to continue that dialogue and that discussion with people of faith?
Well, I hear that in so many of the things that Pope Francis is saying and writing, that we may not always agree on things, but we can at least dialogue. We can try and discover one another, again, where we agree, where we might understand why things came to be in the other person's life or group along the way, and they might understand ours also.
And I think if there's a word that I could use to kind of describe the tenor of dialogue is respect. How important it is for us to have respect for people of other faith traditions, whether it's our Jewish brothers and sisters, our friends in the Islamic community, the Orthodox Church, and our Christian brothers and sisters that are Protestant. How important that respect is, because without that, dialogue and relationships and discussion really never happens.
True. So many things can happen. Let's say organized things can lead individuals to have a conversation with somebody they hadn't yet had a conversation with. If that gives them motivation, it may spread.
What would you like to share with the folks that are with us about the importance of ecumenism and dialogue, and what would you encourage them to do, especially as we find ourselves celebrating and commemorating significant milestones, whether it's with the locally Mahoning Valley Association of Churches or the 500th anniversary in 2017 of the Protestant Reformation? What can they do to participate and also to help commemorate?
Well, certainly participation is the big thing. In the city of Youngstown, one has the organization known as Action. I think it's an association of churches to improve our neighborhoods. Get involved. If one finds out that they have a talent that can be used by Action, things will happen better for the city and for the churches. Of course, adding information is always good. The website of the U.S. bishops is usccb.org, I guess. Correct. Go to teaching and beliefs, and there's ecumenism, and that just opened up all kinds of documents, history. Sometimes documents can be downloaded.
Well, we know that in our rather complex and complexing and busy world, that it would be good for us to take the time, especially as Christians, to do that and to go to those websites on the internet to find out more information, to see how you could dialogue and commemorate and celebrate with those of other faiths, and to be participatory in those significant events. We thank you for the long work that you've done in ecumenism. We know that it goes back decades, and we thank you for that, and we appreciate the information that you share with us today.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us. Have a good day, and God be with you. For more pertinent information, visit www.doy.org, the website of the Catholic Diocese of Youngstown. Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment.
They say America is the land of opportunity, but for some, life isn't so easy. Right now in America, 1 in 6 children lives below the poverty line. That's nearly 13 million children of all races, all across our country. Where do you draw the line and get involved? You can make a difference in more ways than you think. Go to povertyusa.org today, because 1 in 6 children in poverty is one too many. A message from the Catholic Campaign for Human Development.
Church World Service believes that being self-reliant is a joy everyone should share. So around the block or around the world, share the joy.
Our song today is from the CD called Humble Myself. It is by Dana. As we celebrate this 20th Sunday in Ordinary Time, we will hear more about the sacred scriptures by Father Terry Hazel. He is pastor of St. Michael Church in Canfield.
Today is the 20th Sunday in the Ordinary Time of our church year. Two boys were playing football in Central Park in New York City when the smaller of the two boys was attacked by a rabid dog. Thinking quickly, the other boy ripped off a board from a nearby fence, wedged it inside the dog's collar, twisted the board, and broke the vicious animal's neck. A reporter from a New York newspaper saw the event and ran over to interview the young hero. The reporter began to write, "Young Giants fan saves friend from vicious beast." "But I am not a Giants fan," the boy pointed out. So the reporter writes, "Little Jets fan rescues a friend from rabid dog. But, sir, I really don't like the Jets either, the boy said. Look, kid, the reporter said, I figured everyone in New York was either a Giants or a Jets fan. So what team do you root for? I'm a New England Patriots fan, the boy answered. The reporter began a new page in his notebook with the following lead: Ruthless child destroys beloved family pet. We are too often to judge people purely by our own standard of what is right and good. We often size up people by our own prejudiced stereotypes. In the gospel today, Jesus is in the non-Jewish region of Tyre and Sidon. Suddenly, a Canaanite woman with an uncontrollable daughter recognized him and started to shout, Son of David! Just look at this situation. Jesus was in a foreign country, and a stranger, a non-Jew, shouted to him by the name of his people. She shouted, basically, Hey, Jew. Jesus did what I would do or what you would do. He did not react to a shout like that. He kept walking on. It was degrading to be identified in such a manner. So he walked on, trying to get rid of her. So she continued following and shouting, and the situation became totally embarrassing. Even the disciples said to Jesus, Please do something about her. Give her what she wants so she will stop shouting at us. Finally, Jesus did stop. The woman changed her tone. Lord, please help me. That is when Jesus used those unbelievable words, It is not right to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs. I don't know why he said that. Maybe he was just frustrated at this woman who called him a Jew and was still pestering him. Maybe he wanted to show her how unfair and unwise she had been. The woman must have understood that she had divided humanity into groups and circles, that she had drawn lines that should not have been drawn and used categories that should not have been used. Jesus did heal her daughter. The evil spirit that had been terrorizing her left. And at the same time, the evil spirit called prejudice that had been terrorizing her mother and the whole of humankind left as well. We must look beyond labels and stereotypes to realize we are all children of God, all brothers and sisters in Christ. Amen. For Wineskins, this is Father Terry Hazel.
Just like the persistent woman in today's gospel story, any of life's problems do not just go away. We must face them and deal with them day after day and year after year with God's help. Wineskins is a production of CTNY, the Catholic Telecommunications Network of Youngstown. It is brought to you by the Annual Bishop's Appeal, the Catholic Communication Campaign, and St. Paul's Catholic Books and Gifts. I'm your host, Father Jim Corda, wishing you a beautiful week.